Hello and welcome. We are on time. Surprisingly, somehow we managed it. My apologies about, yesterday and not the day before that, but the news stream before that. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of work recently and, our conscripts weren't able to get our news in. But eventually we'll get full news episodes on Tuesdays. We also have our special, what's it called? Our special lore video coming up. And our special, theoretically, we'll have our special random miscellaneous stream. But that's all to be figured out. Need to finish the lore stuff before we get that up. I say finish, I'm just making sure I have everything in one place. It's quick side tangent. So, as you know, Galactic Requiem is not only a setting, but a tabletop RPG. I should have a book that has all the information in one place. Specifically, so our first lore video is going to be on FTL. I should have a lore book in which I have a section on FTL. I don't. I have all the FTL lore, don't get me wrong, but I have it spread out on so many other sheets, like environmental effects, specifically for what happens if you're exposed to FTL with little descriptors and so forth. Of course, use of FTL is in the Starship book for, entering FTL and all that. FTL lanes are in the lore book. Information on the FTL lanes are in the lore book. But as you can see, it's somewhat spread out. And we've been working on Galactic Requiem for years and years and years. So I'm going and making sure I have every bit of information in one script, basically, which takes time to find it all, because I'm not the best at labeling my files. I mean, if you've seen my solo Sunday streams, you know me looking for, or even these, me looking for files. Yeah, I have a lot of files and they're not really organized. Anyway, it's Worldbuilding Wednesday. Actually, if I recall at last count, there's like 20,000 files. I wish I was joking, because that would make it easy to find things if I didn't have that many, but we have a lot of files. Admittedly, not all of them are full of information. Some of them are just like a file with a couple of lines in them, but organization, not the best. Let's see. So, I mean, some of them are also campaign files, because I don't organize well. Not all of them are text files, but I mean, is it even visible? Might not be visible. Some of them are campaign files because I don't really save. I mean, I save, but first off, I rotate my saves. Second off, I'm not the best at making sure I save in the right place. So sometimes the saves get mixed in with the text files. And I mean, if you know, the campaign that we run is on save 127. I say save 127. We also rotate our save number. So we're on 127B, implying there's a 127A, which there is. And there's like a 126D, and then C, and then B, and then like it's not the most organized. So a lot of those files are save files, but Anyway, it is Worldbuilding Wednesday. The reason we didn't have not solo Sunday, news Tuesday is, well, gotta gather the news, but I was busy working on, well, a new campaign. So, given that it's Worldbuilding Wednesday, and we're here to world build, and I intend to actually build worlds, I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone, which is surprisingly difficult to do. I mean, surprisingly difficult to do. I mean, depending on how the size of the stone, and Anyway, so we'll be working on the campaign setting, more working on world building for the campaign setting and the campaign I'm going to run. It is, of course, Galactic Requiem. Like, it's not like it's not like all of a sudden I'm not running Galactic Requiem. It's always Galactic Requiem. When in doubt, it's Galactic Requiem. I think the most recent non-Galactic Requiem campaign I ran was either Sputniks and Space Marines, which is similar, same system as Galactic Requiem rules-wise and everything, but it's a different setting, technically. It's like Cold War, but in space, like all those old 70s and 80s sci-fis, with their CRT screens and old-timey sci-fi, still sci-fi, but old-timey. Cold War-esque, but with FTL and so forth, and, and then Starship Troopers is the other campaign I run on occasion. Because Starship Troopers, I mean, I'm a fan of Starship Troopers. I think I'm one of the few people who has Starship Troopers miniatures, which they had back in the day for the war games. Arachnids and mobile infantry. I think I even have some of the light infantry, but I don't have any skinnies, which are the third faction in Starship Troopers. But there's a Starship Troopers tabletop RPG too. Not tabletop RPG, but yeah, tabletop RPG, TTRPG. In addition to the war game that, yeah, run that sometimes, but mostly Galactic Requiem. So, as the campaign's Galactic Requiem, we might as well work on world building for our new campaign, because I have a lot I need to get done to prepare for it. I mean, I'm making a whole new sector in the southern frontier, not the deep frontier. Our previous, I'm not even sure if it's archived, I don't think it's archived here. Our first Galactic Requiem solo tabletop RPG campaign here that I streamed was in the deep southern frontier. This one's in the plain southern frontier, very close by. I mean, we can show it. Why not? Why not? Nobody can stop me. Let's see. Here we are. If we go here. So, just for the record, we are here, somewhere around here. We actually have the number typed out somewhere, but I don't remember the exact sector we're in. It's either this one or this one. I could always check, but there'd be a waste of time right now. One of these two sectors, I believe, is where we are, or these four, somewhere over here. That's where our campaign's taking place. When I say ours, I mean our solo campaign that we run here with Yulana Aldis. Our first campaign that we streamed with Eshadon was over here, in the deep frontier. Sacred Grove is right there. This one I'm making for currently is here. I believe this sector, just at a glance, trying to remember off the top of my head, South 20, West 19. Let's see whether I'm right. South 20, West 19. Yep, right there. Anyway, so yeah, campaign's going to take place there. And I suppose we're going to actually do some world building now. So yeah, like I said, I'm preparing the campaign. As you might know, well, I don't really talk about it much, I suppose. I like preparing little paths and plot lines and all that. Although Galactic Requiem is often open world. My players can go where they want, do what they want, etc., etc. So I like building a base, but then, after every match, I ask my players what their plans are so I can prepare the next session. Although sometimes in some campaigns, of course, it's more direct. Not railroady, but more, like if you work for a space military, they're probably going to order you somewhere. You don't really have a choice in where you go. Of course, we would let our players, depending on what kind of characters they're playing, they're free to disobey orders, But if you work for the space military, you're probably going where they tell you. However, we are doing a non-military campaign. It's a sort of adventure, a corporate adventure, sort of, not really, anti-corporate, more so than corporate, I think. Like I said, I let my players do what they do. They could work for the corporations, or they could work against the corporations. I expect them to work against the corporations, but they can do whatever they want. So, yeah. So I'm designing a sector, and well, they're free to interact with the sector however they want. They, of course, will have a plot hook, a starting plot hook, to get them together. But from there, they'll be able to go wherever they want and do whatever they want. Ideally, they'll follow the plot hook, but that's not required. I mean, as you've seen, sometimes I'm not the best at it, but I say not the best at it, I'm usually good at it. I get caught up here because we have to use the bot when we're doing solo. We have to use the bot when we're doing solo. So I can't really write out a plot outline or ideas and so forth because it's all up to the bot. And I don't know what's going to happen. When I GM, I'm a lot better at it. And this it I keep talking about is on the fly. Players can go where they want on the fly, and I can quite easily make it seem seamless, tie it in with the plots and all that. Like I said, it's a little bit harder on our solo campaigns. We can still do whatever we want, but it does take a bit more time because it's hard to prepare a map when you don't know where you're going to go. It's hard to have additional plot lines and ideas when it's up to the bot, Anyway, so we have some work to do on this. I loaded up our old file, which is not ideal because, of course, like for organization purposes, the new campaign file is on a new file, not our file. So, I don't have it loaded up, but a lot of the work we're going to do is typing, which I suppose can be, I mean, we can open up the file. It's not like I have anything to hide. That's going to be annoying to do. It's not really going to be annoying to do. It's easy. What am I talking about? So, I suppose we'll actually open that file so we can also do like map work and more fun things than just typing. I mean, I personally find typing fun, but I am a writer, so it'd be a little concerning if I didn't find writing entertaining. I suppose not every writer finds their work entertaining. I don't know. I've always found writing entertaining. I'm not sure about watching others write, which is, I suppose, what we do here, but let's see. um, Assuming I can find the way to do this. There we are. Okay, give me half a second. I'll open up the right campaign file. Gotta do that. I always feel just slightly weird working on, which is why we haven't really done it. But I always feel slightly weird working on our stream campaign on stream, or even just working on other people's campaigns on stream. I always feel a bit weird about that. But, gotta get the work done, and it's world building, so. I, of course, won't note down any spoilers or anything. Waiting for it to load. I suppose we also have, well, I kind of don't want to click away yet. So, we're going to be talking about designing star systems to begin. Star systems, of course, well, we're going to be making those. Every time I make a star system, well, not every time I make a star system, words, complex thinking. Sorry, looking for the right file. Assuming I named it right. Here we are. So, basically, there. Assuming I can just get this working again. Every time I update the rules for system generation, it gets more and more complex. I think I talked about that. We updated system generation to be more fun, accurate, something, more something. I'm not sure. It's more annoying to work with. That's what it is. So, as you can see here, this is the start of the sector that we're working with. This, of course, is a subsector. This is the subsector they're going to start with. This is the system they're going to start on. Easy enough. If you wonder what the arrows are, that's for me. It's not really going to be there. It's so I know what systems have FTL lanes connecting out of the subsector. That's literally what those are. They will, of course, be removed once I generate more subsectors and all that. We, of course, have the law for our campaign. What? Here we are. So, yeah, it's basically, or I suppose I can just read the thing. Why not? Basically, it's going to be in a southern front. Well, I'm not going to read the thing. That'd be too annoying to do. Southern frontier, all sorts of stuff going on. Basically, the frontier sector is controlled by corporations. Bunches of corporations. From the north. Specifically, I say from the north, basically. Where's our... Here we are. Here, the core nations, long ago, about 100 and something years, I believe the record says 140 years ago, the central nations well, various corporations within the Central Nations sent expeditions out into the frontier. If you know the law, it's hard to get outside because there's not a lot of FTL lanes leading out of civilized space. So, corporate expeditions got to here. They likely got further, but basically they control the sector. Over the last 140 or so years, they've overthrown the sector's governments, a lot of them anyway, and basically rule the area. There, organizing my stuff here. So, of those corporations, we of course have a few. Point combat templates, expeditionary security forces. For those of you who watch our news, you know that point combat templates are a military equipment and vehicle provider who have sponsored us before. Thank you, point combat templates. But yes, their expeditionary security forces are there. There's the Southern Frontier Security Solutions, Grey Tree Resource Extraction, Vecca Biotech, Elements Manufacturing. Those are some of the minor corporations in there. Then there's the full-on Corp Govs. There's a Reptilian Consortium Expeditionary Force, Omnicorp, of course, Farsec Conglomerate, Frontier Assets, United Expeditionary Holdings. And then there's the existing governments, some of them anyway, that survived. The United Noble Houses, Ranbur, Tarvi, the Royal Isornus territories, the hegemony of Agfa, and the Orstel Republic. Then there's lesser factions, such as the Free Worlds, lesser nations not directly under Corp control, but of course under Corp influence, the Southern Freedom Front, the Southern Liberation Army, and the Free Pirate States. As just some of the factions that will be in the sector. Of course, there will be more and all that, but those are some of the base, major important players of the sector. Here we are. So, we also have some data, which I suppose I should display if it's what we're going to be working on. So, the players, I don't need to do the math because it's noted, but if you want to do the math, you can to make sure I'm right. But, I mean, it's not really, it is correct, I believe, but I mean, it's not like it's important. The sector is South 20, West 19, which we measured. You saw that was right. And where we are, when the party's taking place, is subsector 86, subsector location 66. So that's 8, 6, 6, 6. As you can see, the coordinates. That's what I love about our coordinate system. Theoretically, you can give somebody coordinates and they can find it. Anyway. Let's see. So, the system that they're in is the, and I quote, here we are, looking for the section. Hard to quote when I don't have the section, isn't it? What is claimed to be one of the oldest nations in the sector, claiming that its history goes back continuously to the pre-FTL colonization of the galaxy. Whether that's accurate or not, Who knows? But it is one of the most, not the most, but one of the most populated. I say populated, but like, I mean like orbital objects populated, not population populated. Areas in the words are hard. Sectors, no, systems in the area with 30 objects in orbit of a G-class star. Those 30 objects are a Helian world, a Jovian world, a terrestrial world in epistellar orbit, in inner orbit, well, in epistellar zone. In the inner zone, there's a Helian asteroid belt, Jovian, terrestrial, Helian, terrestrial, dwarf, terrestrial, dwarf, terrestrial, asteroid belt, Helian. Then the outer zone, terrestrial, Jovian, dwarf, Helian, dwarf, terrestrial, Helian, asteroid field, and icy planetesimal field, for a total of 30 objects. And all of this is, of course, information that's relatively freely available to the players. Because, I mean, like, just go on the net. It'll tell you the orbital objects. Of course, I still need to populate those objects, give information on each one, details on each one, everything. For instance, the first object, the Helian world, has 2 dwarf planets in orbit, aka moons. And the Jovian has 6 moons, 1 terrestrial, all of them are dwarf, etc., etc. Those are like the primary ones I have. I need to get all of them with their details. But as I explained, and as I always say, the Traveler book says map only is really necessary, which is accurate, because for all I know, the players could immediately say, fuck it, let's leave this sector. Well, not the sector, hopefully. I mean, I guess they could. But they could say, let's leave this system, and theoretically leave the system. And then, after I spend hours and hours writing out plot for the star system, they could leave. But I believe that they'll stay in this star system. So, we're working on this star system, but they can theoretically go wherever they want. We do have loose things for the rest of everywhere, don't get me wrong. But we don't have a full map. I have ideas of areas and what's in them and all. And different plot hooks and ideas and all that. But, I mean, well, you gotta work on something at some point, so I'm focusing on this and hoping that they stay relatively here. But we'll see how that goes. Other than that, let's see. So, we have a few factions. We have a we have a subsector. I mean, I say I hope they'll stay in the sector. Entire game systems take place in singular cities, you know? Like entire game systems take place in singular cities. So, you know, a subsector should be enough to start with. Hell, a system should be enough to start with, you know? But, I mean, it's not like we haven't worked on other things. Please tell me I opened the right map. Yep. Here we are. As you can see here, We've also started work on a city, the primary city of the campaign, theoretically. Like I said, they can literally do what they want. They can go wherever. But I'm writing plot hooks and stuff for this city. So, yeah. We, of course, have the central district. We have a highway leading in and out. We have an industrial area, another highway leading in and out. There's technically like 3 highways if we want to be technical. 1 north to south, 2 east to west. So, of course, we have a slightly fancier district up north, up on a hill. We've, of course, been adding additional markers to represent things, which I need to actually figure out how to display properly. I say display properly, just basically where I want to place them. But we have a hill, upper class, fancy stuff. Around it, still upper class, but slightly lower, but still upper class suburbs around it. And then you get into lower quality, city proper, industrial district. And of course, we're going to fill more out. I'm thinking that to the left, of course, it'll go a bit more outward, but I'm thinking this is all the edge of the city. You know what I mean? So we're going to have basically open land around here, and then the city meets up against the city, which pushes out further this way, and this way. Maybe not so much up north. I'm thinking the city more so goes right and down than north. Over here, I say empty. I don't mean like entirely empty. I mean more like pockets of civilization further out that way. Pockets of civilization, by that I mean like normal towns. You know? Like not full-on cities, but more towns, more suburb areas, more like modern, your modern Elysia, or Earth as you call it. More like that. Well, the big city is here, and then there's, of course, etc., etc. Of course, the players will be able to go anywhere. But, I mean, like I said, you gotta map somewhere and make plot hooks for somewhere at some point. So I hope they stay here. But that's what we got so far for that. Of course, we can go in a bit more detail. We have a school here, little parks scattered about. The primary district with all the larger buildings, towers and government buildings and so forth. We have an industrial district. Hospital, police station, government complex, metro station, bus stop, municipal stuff, you know, the usual. So, yeah. Like I said, we were working on additional tokens for representing things. I think I went over them before. We got our very basic blue commerce, green commercial, no, blue commercial, green residential, yellow industrial, you know. But we've been working on specialty tokens, space elevators, I think we covered before, terrain stuff, just basically making it so we can easily represent stuff. As you can see, for the upper district, because it's a little bit more relevant, specifically this place, you've been a bit more detailed. Like I said, the representations of like just simple representations like this are more just to just for not having to put detailed stuff to map quickly and all that. But of course, if things get important, we replace them with the detailed versions, you know? But just for quickly figuring out districts of the city and all that, we have our quick tokens. But we can still, represent important things with our quick tokens, like the fact that there's a hospital here, represented by that. The fact that the police station's here, represented by that. Instead of having to put individual building tokens down, which takes a lot of memory space. I don't think I mentioned it. Maybe I did. I know I typed it up to some people. Turns out, let me put it this way. Even using these quick tokens, these minimum space quick tokens, while it is quicker to map, there's over 300 of them also filling a map. And with our computer space, map tools, it can handle it, but my computer does not enjoy having 300 tokens on one map. So even with our vague representation tokens, it's not ideal. So you can imagine how much worse it is mapping out an entire 5 by 5 kilometer area using individual building tokens. Because it's not, as you can see, it's not always one building per thing. Sometimes it's multiple things per thing, and these take up more memory than these. And as you can see, it helps save space, especially for parts that are vague or not visited. Of course, we can have the entire point of these maps is they're modular. This is 1 kilometer block at this scale. It's, I believe, 100 meters at personal scale. Like the scale you see this stuff on, 100 meters, I believe. While at block scale, it's 1 kilometer. So, of course, if we need super detail, we can have 100-meter blocks with no additional, we don't need to do the full set, or 1 kilometer blocks with full detail without having to, etc., etc. But like I said, even with vague tokens, it gets full. Luckily, we can take a screenshot, and it's just zoomed out enough when we take a screenshot that you still get all the detail of what's in the square, and then you can place the screenshot, and it takes up a bit less space than having 300 tokens total, Because it goes from 300 to 25. Because 5 times 5. More if you use the full 2 sets, because the max we do size-wise, like I said, for memory purposes, is 2 of these, which at character scale is a kilometer, because it's, I say 2, but 2 by 2, which is 4, which is a kilometer at character scale, and 10 by 10 kilometers at this scale. We're supposed to be doing world building, but we're really just getting to the nitty-gritty details, aren't we? In addition, one thing we do need to work on is our... Nope, wrong one. I don't really have one, do I? It's this one? No, it's this one, yes. We need to make a world map and these sub-maps to get a full idea of location and all that. Of course, we don't need to map the whole planet in map only is really necessary, But I like having a loose idea of the area around, at least at the 1 to 10 kilometer scale, loosely, There's one thing I really want to check now. Like I said, we're always modifying things, always working on things. I forget whether our new world size system, world generation system, because it has not pre-generated, but sizes for worlds. Now I'm curious whether it can generate a size 20 world. So you'll forgive me, hopefully, as I take 1 minute to actually check what's the max size it can generate. So that's a size 16 world. How would we generate a size 20 world? I'm not, by that, that's a semi-rhetorical question. This is a size 20 map right here. It is an option. It's not like it's not an option. I'm trying to figure out whether the new generator system has the ability to naturally generate a size 20. Otherwise, I might need to modify it. So give me 1 second. It's not really world building, it's more rules and generator work, but I really want to know now. It's going to bug me if I don't figure out. And if I forget, I'll I'll at least remember that there was something that I forgot, and then I'll be annoyed for the rest of the day. Let's see here. So I assume that if we're generating a world for it to be size 20, it's probably going to be a Hellion planet. Those are slightly larger worlds. So let's see. What types of those are there? Here we are. 15, 15. I think they're all max size 15. There's one I'm missing. Nope. Okay. So those are limited to size 15, meaning, how would we get a size 20 world? I suppose, I mean, if we're looking at the thing, the next largest series of planets are Jovian. But, not sure if you know, that those are gas giants and or ice giants. I mean, you know, both are options for Jovian worlds. I believe. It's been a long time since I studied astronomy. I believe Jovian includes ice giants. I know in this system it does, but I forget the exact terminology of Jovian. I know that it means, like Jupiter, Saturn. Okay, let's see. Huh. That's a problem. Size. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Yes, we need to edit that. Of course, we're not going to edit that here right now, but we do need to edit the generator to be able to generate size 20 worlds. I suppose, by the way, size is the number, give or take, I believe. I believe size is the number of the digit times 1,000 miles diameter. So, a size 20 world, 20,000 miles diameter, 32,000 kilometers. 32,400 kilometers, I believe. That may be off, but you know. But yeah, it should be able to generate size 20 worlds. Hmm. Huh. The base generator is not designed to do that either. No wonder. The base generator is set to generate a max of size 15. So it makes sense that the other thing were maxed size 15. That makes logical sense. I mean, I don't like it. I'm going to have to fix it, but it makes sense. It's not like it was, oh, the max size is that. Why? Well, because the base generator maxes at that, which is not ideal. Means I'm going to have to do a bunch of work, not here, right now, but in general, to be able to generate those. Of course, that's a ridiculously large world. It shouldn't be common, but you know. What I'd have to do is be like, if you roll maximum on the second thing. So it goes, if you roll maximum, roll this, and that gets you to 15. There should be another, if you roll maximum, roll this, and it should contain up to 20, but containing the range of less. So it's doable. I know theoretically how I would go about editing it. I'd also need to edit the planet detail generator to get that to a 2, but that's problems for future Basil. Then, of course, there's gas giant sizes. 20,000 kilometers is, I know what I said, like size 20, which is the largest. That's not even true. Because gas giants can go to, well, technically size 13, which I say that's not 13,000 miles in diameter. Gas giants work a little bit differently. That's listed as 40,000. Nope, not 40, 400,000 diameter in kilometers. I believe. I'd have to double check the math. It would annoy me. Like I said, I know a bit about astronomy, so having incorrect things annoys me. But I believe that's like brown dwarf range. If you don't know what a brown dwarf is, that is a. Well, how to even describe that? It's like a gas giant, almost a star, not a star yet. Technically, there's like, if I recall correctly, there's some form of like fusion going on there, but not like full-on star fusion. I know that they produce energy, and I believe they produce energy via nuclear reaction. It's been a while since I've looked at space stuff. I mean, like, you know, math space stuff from your universe, from your dimension. But basically, trying to remember the classes of stars, because it's A, OBAFGKM for the main stars. And then there's L, T, and Y. We also have more here, of course. But let's see. So LT and Y are those stars, as mentioned, like they're dwarfs. They're not real stars yet. They're like, I let me scroll up. They're not full-on stars. I don't know what to say. Like they're like brown dwarfs. I believe a brown dwarf is one of those, but I forget which one. Y would be the LT. They're in order. So Y would be the smallest, and then T, and then L would be the largest of them. I should probably just use the search bar here. System generation. That's annoying. So maybe a brown dwarf isn't that class. I mean, it's that class, don't get me wrong. But we do bend the rules ever so slightly here. I have it listed as DB, which is slightly confusing because DB might be dwarf black as an abbreviation, and not dwarf brown. A black dwarf, by the way, is a hypothetical object within known physics that is a white dwarf when it decays enough that it no longer gives off heat, which don't exist in your universe because your universe has not existed long enough for black dwarfs to exist. Basically, when a star dies, it leaves a remnant. The remnant it leaves can be a variety of different kinds, from a black hole to a magnetar, pulsar, neutron star, strange star. I say strange, but we have a list of those if you really care. You know, fucking quark stars, strange matter stars, electroweak stars, preon stars, boson stars, Planck stars. All those ones are hypothetical, though. Like, you haven't discovered those in your universe. However, scientists always like, we think, we think we found a neutron star that's a little weird. So it might be one of those strange matter stars. Not strange matter, but, you know, exotic compact star. If we're being technical there, exotic compact star. Strange matter is an own variant of exotic compact star. But anyway, they're all stellar remnants. Anyway, if the forces of the star's death are not enough to make a black hole, it makes a magnetar, pulsar, neutron star, or exotic compact star. If it is smaller, if a star doesn't have enough mass for black hole, all that, you're more likely to get a white dwarf. A white dwarf being basically metal, that is just super energized, super heated, ultra dense. Don't get me wrong, it is ultra dense, much like neutron star material, less dense than neutron star material, but ultra dense. Anyway, white dwarf, super hot, gives off lots of energy, ultra dense. It eventually cools into a black dwarf. So, yeah, you don't have those because, well, the amount of time it takes this super energized thing to give off energy is longer than your universe has existed. Unrelated, however, to a brown dwarf. Brown dwarf being, I know they use the same terminology because there's white dwarf, black dwarf, brown dwarf, but a brown dwarf is not related to those. It's just a gas giant that's almost a star, giving off bits of fusion, I believe, or some form of nuclear reaction. And yeah, it gets a little confusing because then there's dwarf planets. And look, astronomers really need to sort out their terminology because, like, it can get confusing because main sequence planets, if I recall correctly, it's been a long time. Not main sequence planets, sorry. Main sequence stars are, I believe, considered dwarf stars, but are different than a brown dwarf, which is also a planet mass object, but also almost a star, and then you get my point. A lot of terminology is the same, even though they represent completely different things. For instance, sub-dwarf stars, sub-giant stars, dwarf stars, giant stars, bright giants, supergiants, hypergiants. You know, like, it's not the most clear at what anything means in particular. Unless you know and understand. Anyway. Which also gets a little bit weird when you consider the fact that, like, main sequence stars are the most common. Well, that's not entirely true. M-class stars are the most common. Although it is, if I recall correctly, it's been a long while. If I recall correctly, it is suspected that brown dwarfs and LTY class stars might be more common than M-class, if you consider them stars. I forget the statistics on it. I know that of the main sequence stars, M-class stars are the most common. Anyway, welcome to our impromptu astronomy stream. We're supposed to be a world building. But yeah. So that's some of the basics of how that all works. Of course, we here at Galactic Requiem are in a different dimension than you, with different laws of physics. So of course we have some more special things. We also have some more normal things that you have in your universe, like variable stars and all. We also have some more exotic things. Like some of those compact stars, those exotic compact stars that aren't proven in your physics, and some more exceptional exotic stars that aren't in your physics at all. We also have a bunch of fun planets, which is why I want to get our new planet generator to work. Because I like interesting star systems. I believe last time when we will build, we made a ocean world. As you remember, that was I thought that world was very fun. If terrifying, fun. But basically, I'm trying to combine 3 systems, not star systems, game systems of star system generators. Basically 3 different star system generating systems that I want to work together to have the thing do what I want. Yeah. Because the old one works. The old one works. Don't get me wrong. And I quite enjoy the old system generator. It's real useful, even as an automated variant that we can just type in a word and hit a button and get a star system. But the new one has a bunch of really nice new classifications, and it lets me actually generate rules. I say rules, I mean like system details a little bit more specifically. But combining the two is annoying because terminology gets messed up. For instance, we used to have a planet class called Inferno, which we no longer have. We had Molten, which we no longer have. Currently, Molten is now like there's Molten, but then there's Meltball, but Meltball is a smaller world, so trying to find a Molten world that's larger, which I suppose you can generate, but it's a different class of generation. But they can still be generated. It gets a little bit complex. Mostly because, as I said, our physics look different than yours. And a lot of generators are designed for specific other systems and or a loose simulation of your reality. So getting one that works for ours is a little bit annoying because we literally have to customize them, use a base and then customize it to get it to work the way we want it. But that involves tweaking and editing, and which I need to do at some point. We also need to actually make the factions for this campaign. I say make the factions, like I read off earlier, we have a bunch of factions, but I need to like stat them, figure out assets. Like I said, it's a somewhat corporate-based campaign. Both, I assume, anti-corporate, but it might be corporate. So, depending on what the players want. But that does mean, basically, I probably need to stat those corporations so the players can fight them. And by that, I mean, like, it'd be nice. I mean, it's not needed. Don't get me wrong. You can fight a corporation and I don't need to stat it. But I like having stats. It makes it more accurate, you know? I don't have to just go, you destroyed their facility. I think it should have this effect. I can look at the math and go, you destroyed this facility, therefore, math says this. You know? However, I don't expect them to destroy facilities. They might just work for corporations. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, it's fully up to them. I'm just going to provide a bunch of plot hooks, bunches of plots, provide the world. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm going to write a bunch and see what they wish to do. It's not like I go, what do you wish to do? I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to make a lot of options and plot hooks and write things out and make characters. And like I said, a living universe. So, of course, if they do things or don't do things, things happen. Things will happen whether they're doing things or not. They can resort to petty crimes, and things will happen throughout the sector as the corporations go about their business trying to achieve their goals, and the factions go about their business trying to achieve their goals. You know? So, yeah, that's that. 1 kilometer. So that's a kilometer. That's 100 meters. So we want this scale. That's 10 kilometers. And that's 1 kilometer. Yeah, that'll do. Oh, important thing. Copy. Always make sure you don't work on the template file. Of course, we have like backups and more saves of it, but I mean like in this campaign, if I want to not have to import another thing, To re-import the template, I should make a copy of the template. Southern Frontier. Blank grid this world maps. There we are. Now we can work without worry. We'll make it in the middle. So, of course, like I said, we can always add detail. So we'll start very simple. Very simple. And by that, I mean city. Change to, make sure we're on the right layer, which was our problem there, object. There we are. I think we'll go. So I'm not sure where I want to place it. The reason for that is specifically I think we should use this scale, not this one. So that's 10 kilometers. Not sure which one I want to use. So the problem is I want to represent the more open rural area to the left of the city. But I also want a lot of the city on the map. Hence, I also know that there's not going to be a lot to the north of the city. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to place the city particularly, you know? You can always move it as we go, but that does cause a little bit of problem. Well, let's go look at the map. It's going to be 5 by 5, at least this segment of it. Let's see. It's going to be 5 by 5. Okay, we can work with that. Just so I know it's 5. We'll fix it up in a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we have a rough build. Oh, so I gotta make sure you're careful when you paste these. Like I said, this is just a rough thing to figure out where it is. As I also said, the city's going to go off further, but I just want a rough representation of where it is so I can figure out where to place it by looking at the size. How much of the rural area do we want to represent on this map as opposed to the city? These are 10-kilometer squares, so we'll go with this. That gives us enough area here to represent the non-city and gives us a lot of city area to work with. That's the one problem with snapping off of grid. Sometimes they get a little bit independent in their movement and then don't line up perfectly. But it's not like it's needed for them to be perfect. We just needed to know where things are. So, if you want to know the use of tools, watch this. Here we are. We could go like this. And voila, we now know that that's the industrial segment of the city. But you can do all sorts of neat stuff like that, basically. We could even just replace these city markers with these. Like, we can do anything like that. It really depends on how we want to go about it. Basically, we could basically go, yeah, it's this district of the city, you know? Every 1 square here is 1 kilometer. Yeah, good. Just making sure we're on the right scale. No, I'm a little bit worried. This is the right scale, but there's one thing I know, I'm pretty sure, like, I know that each square is a kilometer. But sometimes the little voice in my head says, but is it though? 300. Yep, it's a kilometer. Just double checking for my own sanity. We have a highway running on the south. Empty highway. Highway at the bottom. Empty highway. So let's go to here. Highway at the bottom. Empty highway. Basically, we're going to have these leading out of the city. There we are. So those are what's going to basically lead off into the rural area for the most part. There can, of course, be other roads and all that, etc., etc. But we just need a very base representation here. And let's work on a part that's not on the map. Let's see, where is it? Oh, I know one thing I was thinking when I was making the map, and I want to include it. There, we'll use a light, because there's not a lot of them, but somewhere along the northern highway, there's going to be like just light industry along the northern highway. Probably along the southern one too. But, you know, we know there's one on the north from the map. We placed one, so place it there. By that I mean like the other map. Here we are. If you see, We have some industry along the highway. My idea is like along the highway there are some industries. Let's see. But yeah, like we could remove these and only use these, make these full size. That we could go about it literally anyway. We can place just all circular little tokens to actually make it accurate to the other one. Like we can do whatever. We could even, if we really wanted, it would take work, but we could go to this map, finish mapping this map, take a screenshot. Let's see whether I have this for display purposes. Because I kind of want to show what that would be like. I don't think I have it prepared for that. Unfortunate, because I really want to show what I mean by this. We might be able to. Let's hope I saved it to the right place. No. Yes. Perfect. So, we have these. Like I mentioned before, for saving map space, we can take a screenshot of a segment. This, of course, is then sized up to the full size. But we could also go to this and just sort of actually place down the kilometers in the 1 kilometer blocks. You know, like we could be like, there, etc., etc. Stuff like that. In which case, like, you still get your little map, and actually, I mean, it's a bit off, like, because every map's a little bit off scale-wise, but given that this 1 kilometer square, and these are 1 kilometer hexes, it is to scale. That is to scale. So that's an option. You could just place a bunch of those to represent the city, so you can be like, oh, it's that area of the city and all that. Or you can be vaguer and just have these. These represent city. These are the actual like industrial subtokens, etc., whatever you want with it. Like, if we're being technical, not all this is going to be city at this far right-hand side of it, because as I said, a lot of that's going to be the edge of the city, and up here's more residential, so theoretically we could place a residential representative than that, which, by the way, is the Traveller Suburbs, like so, which would be about here or here or something, representing that, which we could do. Point is, we could get as detailed or as specific, however we want to go about it. Anyway, that's good enough for now for this section specifically. What I wanted to do, that's some strong coffee. I don't mean strong as in caffeine filled, I mean exceptionally bitter. Let's see. So, we have a bunch of corporations, as I mentioned. We have a subsector out of the whole sector down for the most part. I do need to figure out where things go in it. I need to finish mapping the city. Not really, but I like finishing mapping cities. Only really, like, need to, like keeps getting mentioned, map on is really necessary. Technically, we don't need to map out the specific lanes. We know that this is going to be industrial. We know that everything in here is industrial. Sure, we might have some blue buildings for commercial scattered about, maybe some specials, who knows, but we know that it's industrial. We know the district. That's really all we need. We know that this is going to be residential here. That's really all we need. And like if the players want to go there, we can actually fill out the map more fancily with like full on fancy building or just even simple. Like it's not like we need full on stuff, but I like going overboard on maps. Let's see. What I do need to do is assign districts and territories to gangs and corporations. Likely, a lot of the corporations are going to operate in this area, as this is the heart of the city, or at least the very important, or a very important government section with the hospital and police station and everything. So it's probably going to be a lot of the corporations operating in this one area. I say area like this is literally a kilometer. Kind of want to finish this area so we have the full kilometer. Which I know what I want there. Just literally just going to be mid-rise buildings. We'll throw in one shopping center there. I know there's already a shopping center there, but I mean, it's fine to have multiple. So we have the central kilometer done. Grab a light commercial and just sort of make another little light commercial zone. I don't know. I really like finishing areas, you know? See, the strange thing, when I'm mapping, this is just personal preference. Half of me wants to fill out a full block, you know? Half of me wants to fill out a full block. The other half of me goes, yes, technically, there's probably stuff all throughout here. Probably stuff. I mean, of course, we know that the edge is there, but it's going to be full of buildings, at least like in this section, right? This section's going to be full of buildings. This section's going to have buildings. But half of me goes, fill the block. The other half goes, yeah, but right now it looks nicer if you have it sort of with shapes as opposed to straight lines. You know, like half of me goes, it looks nicer if it's not a full block, like with shapes and stuff looks nicer, but half of me goes, but finish the block. Let's see. So we know this is the upper district, much fancy and all that. They even get their own police station and their own school and their own municipal things and their own government area and their own shopping districts. Its own little self-enclosed community. Hmm. But yeah, like for instance, this is going to literally like this section. I'm not sure about the north. Maybe the north will be the edge of the city. I know that the city's not up here. So we might have the city end up here somewhere. But I know that like this section is indeed full. It's also annoying to build on highways. It's so annoying to build on highways. Specifically double highways like this are extra annoying. Single highways, you just have to move them behind and it lines up road-wise, but like, as you can see, the road would go on. But I suppose you can have like smaller lots, or you can have a discrepancy in roads. Like that's not a problem, technically speaking, if they don't line up. Anyway, um, so that's just some of the stuff that we have to do. I think, hmm, I think we'll call it there, a bit shorter than usual. Of course, I still need to work on this, but I'm gonna go have food, and then I'm gonna work more on this, and so I think we'll call it there. Like I said a bit earlier, but next time on World Building Wednesday, we will world build all things, and or more of this, but with actual world building. But we'll get into more actual world building, as opposed to rambling about city building and planet generation and star system generation, like designing factions and so forth. We'll talk about that kind of stuff next time. However, next stream is going to be Solo Sunday, which is on Friday. Don't think about it. So we're going to actually play the game, not this one, our solo campaign, on Friday. And then Tuesday, hopefully we'll get the news. Hopefully. If I'm not too busy, my conscripts can get it done. And then Worldbuilding Wednesday, we'll build more worlds. We'll keep it up. We'll try and get well, hopefully our lore video will be done by the end of the month. We might do our special stream if we have time. We'll see whether we can't fit some playing of games in at some point. Who knows? We can do whatever, but we will do our Worldbuilding Wednesdays and our solo Sundays as usual. We'll try and catch up on our news, and we'll get our lore video out. So, thank you all for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed. As always, I've been your host, the Imperial Lord Casimir Basilius, and I hope you, yes, you, are having and have a wonderful day.